Jill Miller, and this is my van. Her name is My Tiny. That's all original. We bought this. It's a 2008 Dodge Sprinter van. So it's Mercedes under the hood. It had 70,000 miles, and in all candor, it was 57,000. A lot of people ask. I'm willing to share. It was fully converted. The previous owner had bought a 15-passenger van, took out 13 of the seats, and then together he, his wife, and their father-in-law built it out. He's a custom home builder, so it is really top quality. We bought it after they'd lived in it for a year. They wanted to start a family, and so she wanted to buy a new van and build it out with the same layout, but the kitchen cut to here so that they could put a third seat for their child. So we got a really good deal on it. At least that's my impression. Like a lot of people, I think you kind of go through the whole, do I want a tiny house? No, I don't want to tow something that big. Do I want to go trailer truck? No, because at that price point, I'm looking at a lot of money for something that's not well built. Plus, I knew that I was going to be doing most of the traveling by myself. My husband is a professor at Cal Poly, as am I, but he often teaches in the summer. I do not, so I knew I was going to need something where I could, jump from the bed to the driver's seat and take off if I needed to. So at the price point, because normally these are way more expensive, we went for this. I had for about a year after deciding I was going to go with the van, looked at converting it myself because I do have construction experience, but it is a lot of work. I have a very high bar on the build, and I knew it was going to take me full-time probably anywhere from 6 to 9 months, and I have work that pays a much higher hourly rate, so I thought I'll support van life and buy something that's already built. That was about a year-long process. It took, after the decision to buy something that was already built, about 3 to 4 months to find one that I wanted to buy. Sarah and Alex, who built it, they're 40 Hours of Freedom. This was their first van. She put it on Craigslist, and they're in San Diego, I'm in Orange County. The next day I talked to my husband, I put him in the passenger seat in our car, and we flew down there, and I paid cash for it because these go very quickly. As I said, it's 2008 with only 70,000 miles when I bought it, so it's quite the investment, and I've been really happy with it since. It's been almost a little more than a year that we've owned it. All right, so one of the first things that people notice when they see the van is that it has a shower, and I built a box for the toilet because I wanted a cassette toilet. I didn't want to have to dump with the black tank. So as far as the shower goes, it looks like marble, but these are vinyl tiles, which gives it a lot less weight. And really happy with the build out of the shower. I don't really use it that often. I live in California, and most of the campgrounds, even the ones that are inland, have showers with them, so I've used it, but not that often. I think my husband would say that's the first thing he would cut. He wants to do a 144. This is a 170 wheelbase, and so he would punt the shower to begin with. But it is nice. There's a 20-gallon water tank and a 4-gallon on-demand hot water heater in the back. It pulls a lot of power to heat it, so we actually bring out a portable Yeti that we have to when we heat up the water, and you have to draw water for about 3 minutes before it gets hot enough for you actually to use. So that's the downside, but after it's hot, he and I can take 3-minute showers each about twice, and then we're completely out of water. So it is a 20-gallon tank. It does service us for essentially 2 showers each, but beyond that you'd have to refill. And as I said, I'd rather have a solar shower outside. So this is something that I would, while it's a luxury and it looks really nice, I don't really use it. So, like most people, it becomes storage for other things. The dog trays sit down here. When I do shower, I put this corner unit in just to capture more space. These literally pop off, and I set them on the counter. And then this is a Nautilus retractable door that we can use. When you're done, you just roll it back in. That's a really nice feature. You just can't, go full bore on it because it's not that strong. Being that this was a passenger van, there's a window here. We use this cafe curtain to cover it. So when I do shower, I have a portable little vinyl plastic that I put up here just to cover that. When I'm done showering though, I can open the egress that's in the window and vent the whole thing. or I could just open the windows and shower au naturel if we were in a boondocking situation. So that part of it is nice, but as I said, it would be the first thing I would take out if I weren't going to be using it. So we do use the cassette toilet for morning, evening, and middle of the night. So that does get used, and that makes this more than just a metal tent, according to my husband. So I do like that part of it. As I said, I built it in a box, so it's underneath there. The other really nice thing is, it's good to wash your feet at night before you go to bed. I don't need hot water for that, so I'm able to use the shower for that. And then sponge bathing. I use it for that. But a solar shower or a shower tent outside would suffice as well. And then most of the times I just use the campground shower. I would recommend a cassette toilet rather than a black tank, just because you have usually about a week's worth of, maybe 3 times a day using it. Again, morning, middle of the night, and evening. I can just lift it out and take it to any toilet to dump it. And that works well enough for us. So in van life, a lot of people use this little hammock as the veggie hammock. I need more veggie space, so I put my toilet paper in here. That's it. And then I've strung little lights so that at night, in the middle of the night, I can get up, go to the bathroom with just this low light and not wake anybody else up. I recommend Tivoli lights in the shower. I really like the kitchen area. I like the amount of counter space there is. This refrigerator's on the small side and low, so it can be difficult to get things in and out. This is a portable propane that we bring out for cooking, and I like the fact that I can take it out. I don't have dedicated countertop space for it. I like the sink. I like that I can just take the crumbs right off into the sink. So the functionality of the sink is good. I wouldn't go any smaller than this. I might go a little larger, and not so much because of a sink capacity, but because when we're traveling, I need to collapse this and put this in the sink along with the dirty dishes and a pot and pan. It works, but it can bump against the sides. I would prefer something that's a little deeper and maybe an anodized aluminum black sink or white sink. But it works well enough. So I'll give you the things that I like and the things that I dislike about my kitchen arrangement. There is a 5-gallon freshwater tank below, and then it just drains to the ground for the gray water. That I don't like. I would like it to go off to a tank, so we don't really use it that much. There is a water filter underneath, so this is the filtered water, and I do like that part of it. As far as the refrigerator, I don't like the refrigerator in that it's small and it's low, and I can get maybe about at max 4 to 5 days of food in there before I've maxed out the refrigerator. I have a little portable cooler that I bring as well, so if I buy more than I can actually fit, I put it in the cooler temporarily. My alternate would be to actually take this refrigerator out and get one of those top lift Dometic fridges. And I wouldn't put it here, I'd actually put it behind you, and you'll see that later, in a cavity, and instead make this whole thing either storage or get one of those camp chefs so I can have an oven and cooktop here in this space otherwise. Yeah, I am moving things around to see what works the best for me. I think that's true for most everyone. They say, well, I like this, I don't like that. And it just depends on how much you want to invest, especially since this is already built out. Do I want to start cutting into something that's already built to make it my own? My husband might win the battle. We might end up selling this and going for a 144. So it's going to be that tug of war for the next 5 years, I'm sure. And then I do hope to go full-time for at least a little while. I've kind of mentioned the sink is I'm neutral. I'm a little negative on the refrigerator. It works for now, but there are much better solutions. I would like to have a propane stove that's with an oven combination, so I'm kind of neutral on that. I do, however, love my little oven grill coffee pot combo. Every morning I wake up and I fill this little reservoir with water and I have my coffee. And then the oven part, I can use it on my solar. I have 300 watts of solar and a 2,000 watt inverter underneath the bench. And I can cook on this for about 15 minutes before it pulls my battery down enough. It draws about 750 watts. So it will restore back up almost to the previous capacity for my battery, but while it's in use, I've got about maybe 15 minutes max on it, which is long enough for cinnamon rolls, cookies. It wouldn't be good for a casserole. I might go with an Instapot for a casserole, something like that. I buy the already cooked bacon and cook that on top for my boys when they come, because they love that. Grilled cheese sandwiches, things like that. This was at an Amazon. It was $69, $70. And I've got it bungee corded in so it won't move around while I'm driving. A little Velcro on the coffee pot so that doesn't fly off, but otherwise it's good to go. So in terms of power, we have 300 watts of solar on the roof. We couldn't do more solar on the roof because we have an air conditioning unit up. Since this was a passenger van, that has its advantages in summer, certainly, because I can run AC off of the motor. So we maxed out 300 watts of solar on the roof. We have 3 AMG batteries below in that corner, and then we have a 2,000 watt inverter. And with the fires last summer that we had, we purchased a 1,000 watt Yeti so that we could use that for emergency power, and we did need that from time to time. When we were on the road, we have a 150 watt suitcase solar that's portable, and we recharged the Yeti on that. But other than the summer where we had the smoke and it wasn't recharging our solar on top, I've never run out of power. So in terms of my kitchen, I also love my vintage, or my 3-tier vegetable tray. I talked about that a little earlier. I love this because we are big on snacking, and dried cereal is great. So I just bought that to hang up. And this is all of my utensils. I have the silverware here and then all the other utensils. It's not a lot of storage. This was framed out in steel, so there's a fair amount of wasted structural space. It does make it really sound, but I would do this in wood so I could capture, the drawer could be another quarter percent wider. This below is where I have all my pots and pans. These are those magnetic strips that hold knives against them, and a lot of people put them on the wall surface. It makes me nervous having knives on a wall, even if they're held by magnets, because the G-forces in an accident will send those flying. So I put it on the door. I angled it just so I could get longer knives and shorter knives as I want, and then it fits within the cavity of the frame so I can close it. I like that part. Down below is just enough room for your trash, for my water filter, and my 5-gallon tank in the back. And then that's it. One of the things I do when I'm traveling is I collect as my souvenir these travel bags. So they store just on the side, and little refrigerator magnets, because you got to buy something everywhere you go. Storage up top. These pneumatic hinges are fabulous. I love them. I have my hot pad to keep my coffee mugs that hang from hitting the cabinet. Otherwise things don't rattle in there. I've just got my dishes and napkins, disposables, all my kitchen stuff, all my dishware. And then in here I've got my coffee increments. This is where my vitamins and first aid kit are, and then the rest of it is just more or less storage stuff. I have a little bird feeder that I mount on the glass outside, so that fits in there. Right now it's on the outside. So as far as storage goes in the kitchen, I really think it's sufficient for me, but if I were in here full time, I would need more. On this side, I have this rack that holds games. We're a big gaming family. And then I haven't maxed out this storage, which I will. I'm sure I will figure out how I want to organize that. I bought this, and this is really handy for all my electronics. So it keeps them really stable and not moving around, and I can just use the cavity again, taking up this extra square footage that you lose in the frame for my more storage. And then this one, my art kit, and this is a really handy little thing. Whenever I go to take a shower, if I'm at a campground shower, I just grab this and go, because this is everything I need for showering. My sodas, or my shampoos, my soaps, my makeup, hairbrushes, and toothbrush and toiletry stuff. And it's nice. I just got this at Goodwill. Buy these roll-up bags. Okay, one of my favorite things about the van is the dresser drawers. There are 3. My husband usually has the top one full of clothes. This is mine, full of clothes. And the bottom one is where we put all the extra stuff. When both of us are traveling, our backpacks go in here. And I really, really like the idea of being able to literally sit on the end of the bed and get dressed and have all your clothes there and not have to be fishing them out. I really like that part of it. That's the dresser, plus the extra counter space is really, really nice. When I'm cooking, if I need more counter space than what I have, I'm usually just using the end of the table because my husband will have all of his stuff here. So he plays guitar, he'll have his whole studio set up here on, and that's in violet. You know, you can't move it, can't touch it, so that's, when he's with me, that's what goes there. Otherwise, it's just your stash, you know, all of the stuff that you bring along where you just need a drop zone. That's our drop zone right there. This was a nice little hack. These are Velcroed in, but they're just the magazine holders, and they work really well for keeping things that you want at the ready, like an extra blanket at night, my iPad. On this side, my water bottle, my art kits, but you can put cereal, you know, the cereal cylinders in there. Anything that's either too tall for the cabinets or you want to be able to grab at night, but don't want to have to put away. So I like this. This was a nice little hack. Okay, so as with the kitchen, I'm going to tell you the things that I really like and the things that I don't like about this. I'll start with the table. It's a nice butcher block, durable finish, just like the countertops here and the dresser. I don't have to worry about putting drinks on here and having a drink ring, but it is super heavy. I've probably got about 200 plus pounds just in this pedestal table, and even though it's on hydraulic jacks, it does take a lot of force to push it down, and so you can imagine pulling it up into position, down for the bed, up for the table. It can be a bit of a bother to do it, especially if you're solo. And then it can be swiveled so that you can get around it. Like if I'm working on that side and my husband's over here, we'll swivel it, and that gives us more comfort space. But I really would like a lagoon table where you could just literally push it out of the side and then also be able to remove it and take it elsewhere. Because it's fixed to the floor, it's an obstruction to anything we need to slide in that's large, and it does mean that to get in and out, you have to really learn how to scoot very well. So that part I don't like about it. This, along with the refrigerator, would be this is number 2 on my list of things to change about my van. The third one would be to put in the T windows here on each side. So even though we have the max fan above, it does work very well, and I do have my air conditioning. It would be nice to be able to, when this is in bed mode, to be able to open these T vents and have the breezes blow across me in the evening. The fan is fairly quiet, but I wouldn't want it running all night, and if I did, I wouldn't be able to hear the owls and the birds and everything else that you hear or the sounds of the ocean when you're lying in bed. That's number 3, are the T-vent windows. So I've already told you some things that I don't like about this. What I do like is having it as a convertible bed. In the daytime, it's very comfortable for John and I to work, and we can fit 6 people comfortably, 2 on each side, 2 more people here using this as a eating surface, and then we've stuck our grandkids at the end of the table. So I really do like the fact that it's not a fixed bed. We have a hitch and a cargo hold and bike racks that we can mount on the backs. So though we don't have a garage, I don't have a compelling need for those. Our bikes are just recreational. We U-bolt them, and I feel if somebody were to really want them and we're going through the U-bolt, then they can have them. It's not a primary concern for us. Converting it to a bed only takes about 5 minutes. 5 minutes to convert it down, and then 5 minutes to put it all away. So for me, it's not enough of a hassle for me to have a dedicated bed. Plus, when it's up in a table, that just feels much more spacious and open. Something that I love about the van is that it was a passenger van and you have the windows all around. And we have been stuck inside for days on end because of the smoke and the fires. Even when we were at Tahoe, you just wanted to be inside, unfortunately. Rainy weather, gales, wind, we're inside, and yet I still feel outside. So I love the fact that there are windows all around. We have insulated covers that cover all the windows, and that keeps the heat and the cold out at night fairly well. We do have a little buddy heater. 4th on my list would be an S-bar heater. underneath the passenger seat. And then fifth would be to have the passenger seat swivel. Something else about my setup is that it's 5.5 inches of foam. And so the cushions, while they're thick, it is very comfortable to sleep on. The bench height is a little higher than what I would prefer, so I tend to pitch forward a little bit, but my husband's tall, he likes the height. Underneath the benches, we have a 20-gallon water tank that fits underneath this bench. It's slides along the wheel well, so it's narrow, it's tall, it goes from about here to here. So it does take up a lot of space, and as I said, we don't really use the shower that much. So punting the shower, this would also capture this space. Well, there's a 4-gallon on-demand hot water heater on that side, and in between we have your classic umbrellas, roll-up tables, tent, tarp, sleeping bags on that side. On this side under here, because I have the 5-gallon water heater underneath my sink, there's electrical at the back, my 3 AMG batteries, and my 1,000-watt or 2,000-watt inverter here, and then the rest is taken up by an inflatable kayak and life vests. So we actually are able to get a lot of space in here. When we bring the guitars or the surfboard, we slide them underneath here and bungee them in place. I love the upper cabinets. That's something I really like, but I do wish they'd bullnose these corners, because there have been more than a few times that you're climbing into the seat and you hit your head on these sharp corners. So my husband's threatened to take these all down and bullnose them, and I think I'll let him do that. You can tell it's my van. He just has, occupancy rights at this point. So as far as my uppers go, this is where all my food is kept. And as I said, if I were full-time in this, I'd probably need more space, and I would use the portable cooler storage combination I have that sits on top of the toilet, and I Velcro that in place. So, but ideally I would like to have more space for the food and for things like your Insta water. This is where all the sheets and the bedding go. This has, let me turn around. This has my pillows. I love pillows, never enough pillows, so I've got a lot of space for pillows, including those. And then that's a down comforter that we have. And like last night, it was 40 degrees at night, and I just had the down and the quilt over the top of me, and I was toasty. So it was really that. A down comforter is absolutely essential. It does take up a lot of space, but it's absolutely essential. So that's good at the uppers. On the end, I've used these baskets on the end for books, and then there's a mesh screen that goes across. It's a quasi bug screen, has magnets all the way around, and so it will seal against the back doors. But any amount of wind will blow those, so I need to put in stronger magnets. But I like having a bug screen that's not permanent. I just kind of bunch it all up and then slide it into the basket. There's a little light strand that goes across the back. And then people ask me about this all the time. This was a sculpture from Bed Bath & Beyond, and I just bought 2 of them and then screwed them in place. There's a junction here and then screws on each end. And then I strung these little laser LED lights around, and so at night the switch is over there. I turn on the switch and this whole ceiling lights up with Tivoli lights. It's really pretty at night, yeah. And it's just enough light that you can still read, maybe not well, but you can watch movies and you're not in pitch black. Or if you're working on your laptops, it provides enough light for that. So this, I just got tired of staring at the white ceiling, so I found that and put that up. So one other thing I wanted to point out was that this table is shorter than in its original size. They cut off the last part of it. If I rotate, you can kind of see. They built a cabinet here. A number of the vans will have this as a complete walkthrough with a lagoon table, so that you actually have full width of the space inside if you wanted to bring your bikes in and things like that. But I really like the cabinet that spans the back. It's got all of our camping equipment in there. It's a quick grab from either inside or outside. And when we pull up to a campsite, I'm able to open the doors, and then I can sit all the way across the back, and just that becomes my theater outside with my seating here. I'm not limited to just only being able to sit side to side. I can actually lay across the back. So I really like that. So earlier I mentioned one of the things I didn't like about my refrigerator was that it was low and small. It's here in the front, so capturing this space means my refrigerator would come over into this cavity. The couple that we bought from had dogs, and this was the kennel space for the dogs. So this is where I would have the pull-out top-loading refrigerator, utilizing that space, and then I could capture that. I wanted to make sure we brought back to that. Right now we use it just as extra storage space, extra blankets. I have these baskets from Target that I bought. When I'm traveling, I just have a bungee cord that I bring across to keep those from sliding out. I also use this when we bring our Celestron telescope. So we have a very large Celestron telescope, and the mount itself will fill up that entire space. So when I need it for that, I'll take those baskets, put them underneath the table, and then we'll put the mount in here. That brings me into my closet, because the closet originally was just a bar across for hanging space. I don't have much that I need in hanging space, so I bought these shelves so that I had more craft. You know, my craft boxes are in here. Other things like, you know, overflow for clothes, for winter gear, slippers, things like that. This is my catch-all. It's just hanging shelves, and we put the Celestron telescope behind that. So I'm able just to remove this by, you know, undoing the Velcro, taking the whole thing out and putting it on the bed, and then we're able to bring the telescope out, which literally runs from the bottom to the top, and set up at night for night sky. We really enjoy doing that. I also have things like a grill that goes over an outdoor barbecue, so I can barbecue outside over an open flame. And then because I do work remotely, I need 2 monitors. So this is my second monitor, and I have a clamp arm that I clamp onto the end of the tabletop, and then I mount this on there, and I'm able to use 2 screens for all my work without taking up any of John's real estate for his work. So we're able to work at that table with 3 screens, and highly efficient. So I've got the arm for this and the monitor, and I'm able to store that in this space as well. And I'll rotate it when I don't want to bother reaching behind to clear it out. That's it for the closet. A lot of people comment on the full mirror. This is a great place for a mirror when you open it. Sometimes when in van life you get going and you don't think to brush your hair or make sure that your mascara isn't smeared if you had it on in the first place. And so if you have a mirror, it's really nice to have a full-length mirror here on the inside, but you just got to remember to open the door and look at yourself once in a while. So I do. I don't need to look at all of me, so I put my family calendar below, of course, but that's a handy little feature. And then this is my guest book. People that come and see us will sign on this little writing board that I got at Staples, and fits the bathroom really well. And it's really nice to have this writing board, you know, to have people sign in it. It's something that when I open up, especially if I'm traveling by myself, it reminds me I've got lots of family that's watching out for me. So I need to text them or call them or, you know, post for them. Otherwise, I find myself just, you know, turtling in and not getting out. So that's my reminder right there. This is where the shades are for the front. This is nice. I highly recommend these. This is made for sprinters. It's about $50. It's expensive, but well worth it. Blocks out all of the heat and the cool in the front. Really nice. These were made by Sarah, the people that built the van out. These are the covers that go over the windows. They're insulated. They have Reflectix on the inside, and then she made these fabric liners, so it's the same teal color. It's pretty when it's up. It's the same fabric as this. This is a blackout drape. And even though we have the side windows in the front with the shades, we close this, and it does keep the heat or the cool out. It does help. It's not, you know, we have to sit there and notch it to secure it on this side. So it's not ideal, but it does work. And then when our dog is with us, which is most of the time, she will actually climb into this and roll up underneath it almost, because she likes being kind of turtling in herself. She takes after me. This is my gym bag. I just hang it on the back with these little hooks that are easy to pick up anywhere. This is overflow. This is a cooler. So when as I said, I buy too much stuff, I'll put like all my drinks in there with some reusable ice. And then as we're driving, if I need to, I'm not driving, if there's a passenger, they can reach around and grab a cold drink when we're on the road. And it's really nice. I also have that extra cooler that I put on top of the toilet. This is nice because it covers the whole width of the bathroom, and it's got Velcro, so I can literally Velcro it in place so it doesn't move. And the centerpiece is a cooler like that. It just goes inside, and I'm able to put that Velcro in place and set it on top of the toilet. So this is when I'm buying more food than I could possibly eat in a week. That's where it goes. Which, coming from having 3 sons and buying in quantity, sometimes I forget that I don't need that anymore, and I end up buying more than or I buy the big box stuff. That's where my big box supplies will go. Because sometimes it's just too good of a value to pass up, right? So you do that. Coming into the cab area, it's a 2008, so like every older car, there's all these little things that one day you'll get around to fixing. The cover for the parking brake comes up. I can't pull this all the way out or it just flies out, and you can't close it all the way. But for the price we paid and the fact that it's a Sprinter diesel and we get 21 miles to the gallon, I wouldn't trade it. If we went in the 144 route, I'd go right back and buy a Sprinter, and I'd make sure it was diesel, mostly because I like the gas mileage and the reliability, and finally the way that it drives. This, even in high winds, I'll feel, because it's a high top, I'll feel the movement, but I've been in some pretty strong gusts, particularly here in California, and it's sturdy, it's solid, it doesn't move around on me. I have had to repair some things on the van. I used to be an auto mechanic. When I was going through high school, I was a mechanic, so some of the things I'm able to fix myself, like I had an EGC valve that I needed to clean, and YouTube is great. You describe your problems and you'll usually find the solution on YouTube. If it's not a DIY video, at least you know what the problem is and you can get estimates on that work. If you take any vehicle into a mechanic and you say, it's just making some noise, or you just try to describe your symptoms, you're going to pay a fair amount of money in diagnostics. So there's a lot of information online for the Sprinter. There's a little app you can buy to plug in that will give you the error codes. Some of them show up on my monitor, some don't. When the valve was getting sticky, it didn't show up. I just felt it in the performance. And so fortunately I was able to find the solution on YouTube, and in a 10-minute video he showed me how to walk through it, and I just did it myself. I have the tools, and I saved myself about $1,500. So that's one thing nice about Sprinters. I don't know about Fords or ProMasters. I can't speak to those. Likely it's the same scenario, but there is a lot of information available online. And I do like the fact that it's a powerful engine. There's a lot of room to work in the Sprinter. If we were ever to hook up to recharge our solar off of our alternator, Sprinter requires that you have a second battery. You don't ever want to recharge off your primary battery, because it would be too easy for you to drain your primary battery and then you're stuck. But so you can recharge with an alternator. It's a good system, but you do need to just backstop that with a second battery and recharge off the second battery. And it's fairly inexpensive to put in a second battery anyway, so I don't know why you would take the risk. Other than that, I really am happy with the Sprinter. I know if you don't have any mechanical experience and you're not comfortable trying some of it on your own, then you might want to go with a Ford or a Dodge, because your repair costs are going to be lower. You have a lot more options as to who can do your vehicle repair. But since that's within my comfort zone. I'm gonna turn around and get another Sprinter if my husband wins the battle and we go 144. Thanks for watching. I kept it all natural after 3 days camping. This is what it's like, guys. Again, I'm Jill Miller. You can follow me on Instagram at Retired Desire, but I work during the day. I'm a weekender, so I'm trying to give as good advice as I can. And I do appreciate the follows, but it's not necessary.